Hi, this is just a little bit of an impromptu video. So today I'm actually doing my fellowship of the CIPD assessment. So I just thought it'd be quite useful because I've been going through the process and preparing for it for about 7 days now, just putting all my stuff together. So I just thought it'd be really useful just to have a little bit of a video for people that are actually thinking of doing it in the future, and just what things you can actually do as you go through your work preparing for it, because it can make things much easier. So just a little bit about the format itself. So I did the Chartered membership about 4.5-5 years ago, and that was a really big exercise because it was basically an experience assessment. So I had to just produce thousands and thousands of words. I had to work on a case study. I had to do all sorts of things. And obviously what they're looking to do is that, according to the profession map, that you are actually attaining the standard of membership, chartered membership. The fellowship, what it does is it looks to make sure that you're actually operating at a strategic level. So, the work that you're doing is influencing the shaping of the organisation or the people profession as well. So what they do is I've done like a pre-assessment so far just to check that all my experience is right. And yeah, that's very straightforward, and did that. And so the next thing is basically I've got a 1 hour telephone assessment in about 45 minutes or so. And they've asked for sort of me to give 5 specific examples. So an example of when I've shaped a people strategy, when I've worked on sort of a long-term change program as well. So I do have lots of examples, which is obviously why I'm doing it. But what they're looking for, particularly at this level, is things like impact. So what are the outputs? What evidence can you show to this actually produced? How is the organisation different as a result? So I had to prepare 5 examples, which has actually taken quite a bit of time. I think one of the challenges with organisation development is because it is the whole organisation, it's very difficult to pinpoint exactly the impact that your work has done. So yeah, absolutely, do a great piece of work, you get the strategy straightened out, you get everyone aligned, you change the decision-making process for the whole organisation, and then profits go up, great. But was it the work that we did, or was it because they've got like an amazing sales process, or it could be a whole range of things. So the challenge has really been sort of getting back to first principles here and actually finding out, so what was the impact, what was the context, what were some of the outputs that were achieved, has this been sustained over time? Because again, with OD, a lot of the results are actually long term as well. So sometimes as an OD practitioner, you have to get an organisation to slow down before it speeds up. So, there might be often a high growth organisation, but the strategy isn't clear or people aren't aligned. So you have to get them to take a step back and often sometimes revisit the strategy. Again, a strategy is just an artifact. It's just a document. It's a dead document. It just lives in the drawer or on a slide deck and comes out once a year, and we review it and say, okay, we hit this and we hit that. Obviously what we're doing is we're actually getting it to be a living, breathing document. So it's been a case of that. The other thing I've had to do as well is to ask a client to actually provide a submission. So I don't know what they've written, but hopefully they've said nice things. And what I needed to do was just give an example of when I've done strategic work as well. So I've now got 4 screens up. I've got 2 laptops there. I've got my portfolio of work all laid out. Someone's actually coming in and observing the call as well from CIPD. So I've got 2 people on the call today. And what I do is I'll report back after the session, fingers crossed it goes well, and just give you a little bit of idea of what the actual meeting was like, and just maybe sort of take away some of the mystery of what happens when you go for fellowship. Okay, so I've just had my appraisal or assessment. So it absolutely flew. It was 1 hour. It was very fast paced. Basically, they sort of say 1 hour, wherever you are, we stop the call. And so what they do is they ask me sort of the 5 sort of key areas, or some of the key areas we were expected to cover in there, and then supplementary questions too. It was just a race to get all my stuff across and to sort of curate it. And obviously you don't get any feedback on how your answers are landing. You just try and guess by the questions that they ask as a result of the things that you're sharing with them. So I'd probably say that the real key thing to this session was actually the preparation. So by the fact that I had my 5 examples, they were kind of structured with context, what I did, so the problem, defining the problem, where I started, how I worked. There was lots of questions about ethics, because obviously it's a very important area. And also there were sort of supplementary questions asking about resistance to change and what do you do when you're working with someone who is resistant, and how, and like my different methods and what I'd reach for. And you know, they were really asking for lots of outcomes and outputs. So I'd put as many numerical examples. So I guess for those of you that are actually considering doing it, even if you're thinking of doing it in 3 or 4 years time, and you know, you really want to do it when you can actually enjoy the process, because rather than sort of stretching, it's like, you know, actually it's just a really good account of the work that you've been doing anyway. And it's a really good exercise to consolidate your learning. I've actually found it really useful. It's been hard work, but I'd say is as you're working, and you would be doing this anyway, is really making a log of the impact you're making. And when you work with a client, or you start an engagement attorney, whatever it is, that you're really clear about how you measure success, and then you do measure success, and also really importantly, you keep a log of it as well. And so that just is really, and it's a really good, healthy way of working, and it's actually made my process much easier. So yeah, it's I think I've earned a coffee now after that. That's really hard work. I've had to speak very quickly, and they must have pages and pages of notes, but I will let you know what the outcome. Apparently I have to wait 2 weeks now, and she was not giving anything away in terms of where I stood, but she didn't boo, so I guess that's a positive thing. Cheers. Hi, okay, right, so it's 28 days since I did my assessment. I got an email about 2 weeks later, and it said, congratulations, you're now a chartered fellow, blah blah blah. So that was really nice, and today through the post I've received an envelope from them. So let me just open this up and take a look what's in it. It's obviously the outcome of all your hard work. So yes, yay, there's my certificate. I'm now officially a chartered fellow. I'm making sure that I don't put this in my desk drawer where a lot of my other certificates live. I'll have to try and mount this somewhere to make sure it feels like it's worthwhile. So yeah, so I guess, how do I feel kind of 28 days afterwards? So I don't feel like my practice has changed in the few weeks since I found out. I think you do feel more confident, because just the sheer act of doing a retrospective over your career and really quantifying all of the positive change that you've made does give you confidence, just the process of it. And also because the work is so often so relentless, you don't really have time to sort of pause and go, yeah, well done. And that is nice. I think one of the things that's been really nice about it is just the response of the CIPD community. So they've been just really supportive and got loads of really nice messages as well, which has been great. So yeah, so overall, I think I would recommend it as a process. It's so much easier if you've done the membership experience assessment for chartered status, because that was a lot of hard work. This process, 60 minutes. But because you kind of know that the depth that they're going to ask and the need for evidence, you do the preparation up front. So that made this process much easier. And someone I've just spoken to that actually did the experience assessment for the fellowship, described pretty much similar to how I'd found the membership experience assessment as well for chartered member. So yeah, so I did say it is a worthwhile. It's not for everyone, maybe where you are in your particular career, but if you do have any questions, and then absolutely feel free just to get in touch. I'd be really happy to have a phone call with anyone just for a few minutes, just to sort of share experience or answer any questions that you've got, or just drop me an email as well, because I really think probably one of the things of the whole fellowship is sort of pay it forward. I've got a lot from being in the profession. I'm to sort of start really giving something back as well.